Wi-Fi is everywhere now, but not everyone knows why it's even called Wi-Fi. Here's the truth. It doesn't really mean anything. Even the people who came up with the name never intended it to have an actual definition. It wasn't born as a clean technical term. It was a branding decision, one that worked so well, the whole world adopted it like it was official science. So today, we're unpacking where the name really came from, what it was supposed to do, and how one made-up word quietly became the default label for modern life. Welcome back to Simple But Surprising. Before we get to where the name Wi-Fi came from, rewind to the late 1990s, when wireless networking was still a cool idea that also felt like a recipe for headaches. The concept sounded futuristic. Computers talking through the air, no cables, no plugging in, just signal. But in practice, it was messy, because companies were building their own wireless systems that didn't always work with each other. So you'd buy one brand's laptop, another brand's wireless gear, and the two would basically stare at each other like, "Who are you again?" It wasn't just annoying, it was a real problem for the whole industry. Wireless was obviously the future, but only if it didn't turn into a compatibility disaster. Because if that chaos had continued, wireless networking might have died before it ever became normal. That's why major companies like Lucent Technologies, Nokia, and Symbol Technologies helped form a nonprofit group called the Wireless Ethernet Compatibility Alliance, or WECA. The mission was simple: create a shared standard and a way to certify devices so wireless gear from different manufacturers could finally cooperate. Because no one wants to gamble $2,000 on a laptop just to find out it refuses to talk to the router. So once the make it work across brands problem was getting handled, the next challenge was obvious. If wireless was going to go mainstream, it couldn't just work. It needed a name people would actually remember. Actually, the technical backbone WECA were building around already had a name, IEEE 802.11, created by the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And even saying that out loud feels like my brain just asked for a software update. Here's what IEEE 802.11 actually is. It's a rulebook. A set of technical instructions for how wireless networking behaves, how data gets sent through the air, how devices find each other, how they take turns so everyone isn't shouting over everyone else. It's the kind of name that makes perfect sense inside a conference room full of engineers, and absolutely no sense anywhere else. Because try selling that to normal people. Good news, your home now supports IEEE 802.11. That doesn't sound like convenience. That sounds like the title of a 7-page manual you'll never open. And that's when the Alliance realized they had a second problem. They didn't just need a standard that worked, they needed a name the public could remember, trust, and actually want to buy. Something short, something friendly, something your mom could read without squinting. And that's the moment the story slides from engineering into marketing. To sell their product, in 1999, WECA hired Interbrand, a well-known naming and branding firm with one clear job: come up with a name that made wireless networking sound modern, approachable, and easy to trust. Interbrand came back with a short list of 10 possible names, like Skyway, Torchlight, and Dragonfly. And honestly, what didn't make the cut is almost as entertaining as what did. Skyway sounded like an airline. Torchlight felt like an app you'd delete after a week. Dragonfly was kind of pretty, but it didn't exactly scream reliable network connection. So the group went with the cleanest, most memorable option, the short, catchy one you could actually imagine saying at a hotel front desk without feeling weird: Wi-Fi. And here's the detail that surprises people. Wi-Fi doesn't actually stand for anything. It's not a technical acronym. It was designed to be a name that felt right, not a term that needed decoding. 2 syllables, quick to say, easy to print on a box. And it had a clever little advantage. It echoed the sound of hi-fi. Back then, hi-fi was everywhere on stereos and speakers, basically shorthand for high-quality sound. So Wi-Fi borrowed that familiar, positive vibe, like If hi-fi means great audio, then Wi-Fi can start to feel like great wireless. Which is exactly why the myth that it means wireless fidelity spread so easily. It sounded like it should be true. And that little misunderstanding is about to become part of the story. At first, Interbrand didn't just hand WECA a catchy name. They also floated a tagline to help explain it, the standard for wireless fidelity. It was meant to give the public a quick, friendly translation of this new wireless thing, almost like a little subtitle under the brand name. And it worked, just not the way they intended. Because the moment you put the words wireless fidelity next to Wi-Fi, a whole lot of people did what humans always do. They assumed the name must be short for something. So Wi-Fi quietly turned into wireless fidelity in everyone's head. Teachers, co-workers, even people who say it with the confidence of someone reading a dictionary out loud. Except, it wasn't. Phil Belanger, one of the Wi-Fi Alliance founders, later basically shrugged and said the quiet part out loud. They picked Wi-Fi because it sounded good, not because it had some deep technical meaning hiding inside it. And about that wireless fidelity line, he wasn't exactly a fan. By the time the clarification spread, by the time people started admitting, yeah, Wi-Fi is just a name, it didn't really matter anymore. The word had already escaped into daily life. And that's the funny part. The world didn't adopt Wi-Fi because it understood the definition. It adopted Wi-Fi because it was short, sticky, and it worked. You think I'm done? Nope. There's one more weird little detour, because even the spelling turned into a fight. Most of us type it however our thumbs feel in the moment. Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi. If autocorrect doesn't scream, we move on with our lives. But the organization that owns the trademark, they're way more particular. Officially, the registered brand is Wi-Fi, with a hyphen, capital W, capital F, and the I in lowercase. And in their own brand style guides, they basically tell partners, don't get creative with it, don't drop the hyphen, don't mash it into one word, don't remix the letters. Which is adorable, because the public heard Wi-Fi once and immediately said, cool, anyway, Wi-Fi. That's the downside of a name becoming too successful. Once a trademark turns into an everyday word, like people using it to describe the whole category, it starts slipping out of the owner's control. Trademark lawyers even have a term for that phenomenon, a brand name getting treated like the generic name. So yes, the official version is Wi-Fi. Once Wi-Fi caught on with the public, WECA leaned into it. In 2002, they rebranded as the Wi-Fi Alliance, basically putting the name everyone recognized right on the front door. And this is the part most people don't realize. The Wi-Fi Alliance isn't the company that runs your internet, it's more like the referee. Their job is to make sure Wi-Fi products from different brands can actually work together by testing devices against industry test plans and certifying the ones that pass. That's why, if you look closely at the back of a router or the box of a new phone, you'll often spot that little badge, Wi-Fi certified. It means the device has gone through interoperability testing, so it should connect and communicate reliably with other Wi-Fi products, not just with gear from the same brand. So at the end of all this, it's just a made-up brand name, one that worked so well it stopped feeling like branding. And that's the rare part. Most marketing terms live on a billboard for a year and then disappear. This one didn't just stick. It replaced the technical language. Because nobody says I'm connecting to my IEEE 802.11 network. People say, I'm on Wi-Fi. It's the word you ask for at a friend's house. It's the thing you blame when your video freezes. It's the first question in a hotel lobby, right after, do you have breakfast? The funny part is the naming problem didn't stop once Wi-Fi caught on. The technology underneath kept evolving fast. The early version most people actually encountered was 802.11b, released in 1999, topping out at 11 megabits per second. Back then, that felt quick. Today, it would feel painfully slow. After that, Wi-Fi kept getting upgraded in waves. 802.11g, 802.11n, blah blah blah, each one pushing higher speeds, more stability, and better performance when your house is full of devices all fighting for attention. And then the Wi-Fi Alliance did something very on brand for this whole story. They made the names easier for normal people. Instead of forcing everyone to remember 802.11ac, they introduced a plain English generation label, Wi-Fi 4, Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, and so on, so you can glance at a box and instantly know where your device sits. Which brings us to the next generation that's starting to show up, Wi-Fi 7. So now we're at Wi-Fi 7, and on the box, Wi-Fi 7 loves to show off. The theoretical top speed can go up to about 46 gigabits per second. Real life won't look like that in a normal home with walls, furniture, and a bunch of devices all sharing the same air. Which is why this next scene happens all the time. You decide, alright, I'm doing it. Best internet. No more weird slowdowns. You buy a shiny Wi-Fi 7 router. You sign up for a 1 gig internet plan. In your head, everything is about to feel instant. Big uploads, cloud backups, game downloads, streaming, all of it. Then you run a speed test, and it tops out around 200 megabits per second. It just won't reach the 1 gigabit per second plan you're paying for, no matter how many times you retry. So your first thought is, wait, did I get ripped off? Not really. Your setup is just getting capped by something boring. A really common one is the cable connecting your modem to your router. That one little Ethernet cable is the bridge between the internet you pay for and the Wi-Fi you actually use. If it's old, cheap, damaged, or the wrong type, it can quietly drag your speeds down. For a 1 gig plan, Cat5e is usually the safe baseline, and in many homes it even handles 2.5 gig just fine. If you're trying to push 10 gig speeds, or you've got a longer run through walls where noise and distance matter more, that's when Cat6 or Cat6a starts making more sense. And even if your cable is perfect, the wired link can still cap you. If any part of the chain, an old modem port, a cheap switch, even a wall jack, falls back to 100 megabits per second, your speed test will never get close to a gig. Then there's your device. A Wi-Fi 7 router can't upgrade an older phone or laptop by itself. If your device doesn't support Wi-Fi 7, or at least Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E, it'll still connect, but it'll connect at what your device can handle. So when your speed test doesn't match the plan you're paying for, it's usually not the internet plan lying. It's one slow link in the chain, quietly setting the speed limit for everything. Wi-Fi has blended into daily life so completely that it's easy to forget how revolutionary it was. It didn't just remove a cable, it rewired habits. It changed how we work, because the office stopped being a place and started being wherever your laptop could get a signal. It changed how we learn, because classrooms could spill into kitchens and dorm rooms. It changed how we talk, because video calls went from a sci-fi flex to something you do in sweatpants while your dog barks at the mailman. Streaming, cloud files, smart home gadgets that insist on having opinions, all of it leans on this invisible backbone humming in the background, doing its job until the exact moment it doesn't. And the part that still feels a little unreal is this. It all started with a name that was basically invented in a conference room. A made-up word, chosen because it sounded right, so successful that the whole world adopted it like it was a law of nature. So the next time you open your laptop and that little Wi-Fi icon lights up, remember, you're not just connecting to a network, you're connecting to a tiny piece of history, a name born out of marketing genius that ended up shaping how the modern world stays connected. Thanks for watching Simple But Surprising. If you've got an idea for what we should unpack next, drop it in the comments. I read those, and honestly we'll pick the good ones for next videos. Also, if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around. We've got a lot more hiding facts in plain sight.